right, there we go. Now, a little bit of light in my life. Of course. All right. Well, hello. I am Randall. My name is Randall. This is about cannabism. Cannabism, what that is a new religion I've came up with because there isn't one quite like it, but it's actually a new idea that I've been coming along with. Really, what cannabism would be everybody gathering at the church once we get our church set up, and we sit and we try to figure out and talk about topics, maybe sit around, play games, things like that. It's not your usual church. It's not one that you go to like praise Jesus or God or anything, because the simple fact of the matter is I am the God of the religion. So we're not going to go worship somebody else or go talk about somebody else or anything like that. We'll just sit around and smoke up a little bit. And eventually, the cannabism would be something that could support a community. Now, the main reason that I'm trying to do these lives, these sermons, and all that is because I want to get viral, so that I can get lots and lots of money. Now, when I say lots and lots of money, that sounds like I'm trying to get greedy, trying to get uh, to where I have something nobody else has. Well, with cannabism, one of the main beliefs is that a cannabis should never occur more than $1 million within their bank account. So let's say I get to $1 million. What happens then? Well, I spend the money. If I get to 2 million, I offload a whole million onto another person that would like to be a cannabis, and they start their life that way. Cannabism really does believe that people should really start off with their fortune once they get out of school. And cannabism also believes that people should learn a lot different things while they're in school instead of your usual history and all them different things like that they currently teach you now. Through the years of school in a cannabis school, you'd be learning things like mechanics, woodwork. You'd be learning more things like that, along with the idea of cannabism being mainly the main pillar of your life. Like, it'd be really nice one day that if cannabism was set up to where you could offer like new mothers support, to where cannabism could like help raise the kids, because a lot of instances mothers end up, you can hear that postpartum depression. You can hear a lot of the times the fathers end up taking off and never coming back. It's where you have the milk dad that went out for the milk. And cannabism believes that there should be somebody there, even if there's not a significant other. Cannabism believes that we should support one another within these goals through life that we struggle through right now. Cannabism also believes that everybody should be given the same chance from the get-go, instead of waiting until you're halfway through your life and old and decrepit and barely even able to save the money that you're trying to make. Now, I don't understand why we do it the way we do, because we have so many people that have like millions of dollars that don't want to give any of that $1 million up. To be wealthy and rich, all you have to have is 1 million, right? Well, imagine if like Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, somebody like that, had the want to everything they made after $1 million, they made other people wealthy. They would take that next million and give it to their good friend or their family member that they know was real deserving and hardworking, that could just use a break, that would like to start spoiling their family, and their life would be 100 times better if they didn't have to worry about money. I mean, cannabism at one point in time would be like the town that takes care of everybody. You see, they would take and all the money that comes from the actions of the cannabis would go into like a large pot, which would be cannabis. Cannabism would hold the money, and like the cannabis would have a card from cannabis to buy whatever they need or want. Any kind of food they want to pick out, anything like that from the grocery store. Sure, go for it. Because all the elders of cannabism would be earning money for cannabism, which would pay for things like the boats, the vehicles, the houses, and things like that. And, you have 5 or 6 people working together to earn enough money so that everybody can have their own special hours. Let's put it that way. Now, if let's say that I lived with 5 or 6 adults, and the adults, they all had their own job, they all went and made their own money, but all the money went into one big bank account. Now, over time, there would be a lot of money going into that. Now, it's kind of a shared money system to where the account itself is buying all the big fun stuff, like taking you on vacation or getting you that nice ski boat or, fixing the water heater. If the fucking water heater goes out. The way everything's set up right now, there is no support. There is no help for anybody after they get out and start their life. There's nobody there to talk to. There's nobody there to bail them out if they don't have enough money from one check to the next. There's just no support built in today's any of the religions, for one. And one of the main things about cannabism is it's about the here, now, and future. Cannabism is worried about what we're doing today. We're trying to work together in cannabism so that we can have a better tomorrow, so that we can fix tomorrow and have the better days. If everybody just worked together and made it to where we didn't have to worry about the money, we could all have fun together as well. Go on them luxury cruises and things like that. If everybody had the money in the main account, they would be able to, fix whatever goes wrong. There would always be a spare car out there because cannabism owns the cars and takes care of them. It's not one of them things that it's easier for cannabism as a whole to take care of the vehicles anyway, because, individuals on their own forget things like oil changes, transmission fluid changes, things like that. If the cannabism as a whole owns the vehicles and, you have somebody that it's their job to make sure that the oils are tip-top shape, ready to go, you won't ever have the problem of having to stop and work on your own car, because there would be a cannabis that is a mechanic that takes care of the cannabism vehicles. It's more about just working together. Cannabism is something I've been dreaming of years and years and years. I have understood that you have to incentivize people to do stuff the right way. Like if you want somebody to do something good, you have to make them want to do it for some reason. It's kind of like how all these people are doing these pay it forward, where like they're giving bums little interviews or feeding them food, getting a bunch of McDonald's, walking around and doing that as a good deed. And then you got people on the sidelines over here that's like, oh, I can't believe you're feeding them food because, oh, you're just doing it for likes and shares. Well, I mean, yeah, they are. And who are you to be hating on them for doing that for likes and shares? Are you giving them people food? Are you helping them out? Why would you hate on somebody that's doing something good for somebody else? It's just really dumb. And that's what cannabism is really trying to aim to create. There is no solid uh, religion based on cannabis. Now, why do I call it cannabism? Because I came up with it while I was on cannabis, really. Um, it, I know deep down inside that if we all work together, we could make viral videos, we could renovate houses, we could, come up with several different ideas to make millions and millions of dollars. Although all we would need is $1 million to get started. But you want to keep the millions and millions coming. Kind of like Bezos and Elon Musk, once they got to their million, instead of helping others, they started deciding, oh, I'm going to go to the moon, or I'm going to be the president's little bitch boy, or something like that. It don't make sense. Instead of helping others, they just pile that stuff into this bank account where nobody can have any of it. Man, I could see over here on this one on my YouTube live that there is nobody on it. I don't know if that's because. Let's see here. One person. Well, I'll just keep preaching each weekend. That's why I'm not looking at TikTok. I can't see what you're talking about because that's just, it's hard to do live when nobody's going to watch. I'd rather know that nobody's watching after the live instead of while I'm doing the live, because then it's like I don't feel like doing the live at all. Cannabis is something I really look forward to, something I really want to try out. Cannabis is something that we can use to help legalize cannabis because it is such a wonderful and powerful plant for a lot of people. A lot of problems with it being illegal is that is how it becomes a gateway drug, because the same person that sells you the cannabis also has heroin, PCP, cocaine. That's how it was a gateway drug for me, because I used to shoot meth. Yeah. That was a wonderful time of my life, let me tell you about it. I learned how to make it for a little bit and everything. And that's all because the guy that sold me the marijuana one day told me, oh, I got something for you. And I was like, all right. And he brought it over to me, and it wasn't marijuana, it was meth. I felt bad that the guy had to drive over and give me something that I didn't want. So I went ahead and bought it, thinking I'd sell it. And into the night, needless to say, I was mad I didn't have cannabis. So I started snorting meth. But, it's a regret to the point that I wish I would have never done it. But at the same time, I learned a lot from it. I learned a lot about that culture. I don't really regret anything I've ever done because I've learned from it. And I've taken my ideas and theories from the environment in which I've lived in. Like a lot of the thoughts and opinions that I come with from cannabism, some of those opinions are from when I was a meth head. Some of those are from just watching my mother have to fight too hard to raise us when we were coming up. She had 2, 3 jobs. Every man she ended up with ended up being very violent, abusive, and hateful, very mean. Shoot, My first sister, she was she died from baby shaking, I guess. My dad killed her, and when I first met my dad the first time, he told me that my first word was hurts. I remember that, you know, thinking when I was a little kid, he did that like when I was 2 years old or something. It was really young. I don't remember that phase of my life. So when I became a teenager, I was really fascinated with who my dad was. And my mom didn't want nothing to do with him because, my mom went to jail for the same reason that he went to jail, is because he murdered my sister. And at the same time, they were thinking that it was all my mom's fault, or that she was a part of it because she was working 2, 3 jobs and he was the one watching the kids, or the babysitter that was watching the kid at the time was doing it. We don't know exactly who did it, but I know my dad would probably have done it because he was on a lot of drugs back then. He was on a lot more than just cannabis. If cannabis was the only drug that anybody was doing on their own free will, I wouldn't be worried about it. I mean, cannabis, there's nobody that's going to be going out and getting in a fight over it unless they don't smoke cannabis. I've never seen anybody fight over cannabis that was a cannabis, as I should say. But yeah, it's been really struggle life, and it never needed to be that way. See, I've been taking care of the kids for the last 5, 6 years. I haven't worked in probably about 8 years, and that's because I've been raising the kids and renovating houses, taking care of animals. And it's kind of hard for me to act like I've been doing a whole lot. I've been raising the kid. It's kind of hard to do anything when you have a toddler running around at the house. This last 2 years, he's been in school, and I've really been stepping forward on renovating the house we're currently in, so that we can have our kitchen back. They can have their bedrooms. Me and wife can have privacy in the back part of the house, because right now we kind of share our bedroom with a 6-year-old. So, but always that. It's never fun. Uh, Luckily, they don't really know what's going on at that age, but hey, whatever. That's all cool too. Um, but I'd really like to be doing sermons in front of thousands of people, or at least 5 or 10. I don't know how many people's watching right now, and I'm sorry I can't see your comments. But once I start getting to where maybe 100 people or so are watching my sermons, I can watch the videos on the lives to so I can answer questions. Like, I got my TikTok right there, I got my YouTube down there. This is my first actual live sermon. I say that last weekend I did one for YouTube. I sit there and I didn't watch the phone. I had it on the phone. Um, I went 2 hours and nobody even joined the live. Which right now on TikTok, I'm sure there's a few people watching. And then down here on YouTube, I can actually see the number of people on YouTube. There's nobody. So it's kind of a letdown. So nobody cares, or I don't have good enough internet, or something. I don't know what the heck. I could understand. It's Nobody wants to get around and talk about religion all the time unless they're going to church. What's to go to church for? But imagine if that church was more about the social gathering than the praising of somebody you've only heard about in books. Imagine if that church was more about helping one another out than making sure that you go to church and follow the 10 Commandments. I mean, really, with cannabism, the only thing that we go by is treat people how you want to be treated. That's the cannabism motto. Just follow the golden rule, because it is a golden rule. Everybody's heard that rule before. Treat people how you want to be treated. Uh, it's easy to get lost in people not wanting to be in religion, or it's kind of like politics. Nobody wants to be in politics, which unfortunately sucks, because we're stuck with the politics thing for sure. In religion, you can choose your religion, so why not choose one that cares about the other people that are in it, other than just wanting to cut it off? I mean, if I had a whole town of people that were working towards the same goal, just making money for the same cause, which would be cannabism, you know, it wouldn't be hard to make lots and lots of money, because it would be going into the same account, to where, you know, the people that are working to make the money for the cannabis as a whole, you know, they'd still charge the people outside of cannabism the right prices to make money too. It's kind of like, okay, cannabism, once it gets enough money, may buy a boat store, or buy a something like Great Wolf Lodge. Now, cannabism would house its congression and pay the bills, let them pick out whatever food they want, let them eat whatever they want, as long as it's so much each time. Like right now, I eat 10 meals, or 10-ounce meals 4 times a day, every 4 hours. That's a good number, you know. Probably get more than that, because that's just because I'm trying to lose weight. Now, if all the food and stuff was locked up in the kitchen and it only opened up for 30 minutes every 4 hours, I would go in there and I'd eat. I'd lose my weight, because in the middle of the night, that's what's happening. Is I will go to the kitchen and I'll get me a big old glass of milk and a cheese sandwich. I love cheese sandwiches, or some cookies or whatever the fuck is in there. See, I get munchies. At the end of the day, I get munchies like crazy. That's where this came from. I have lost this weight 3 different times, and I'm supposed to be losing it this year too. But as you can see, it's not working too great. That's all right. It don't matter to me. I still feel good. I'm just fat. People would maybe listen to me if I was skinny. People would hear me out a little bit. The chicks would dig me a little more, but I'm already married. I'm not too worried about chicks digging on me. My wife digs me, that's good enough. Something else about cannabism, that cannabism don't really say you can only marry 1 or 2 people. You can marry as many people as you want, because cannabism, you have the freedom to love who you want to love. And it actually recommends waiting until you're about 50 or so to get married. That way you can go ahead and have the rounds on all the different people, you know, not have any kind of connection to somebody until you get old enough to settle down. Because cannabism believes that the younger you are, you should go ahead and do the rounds. Find your right somebody. A lot of us were like, oh, they treat us good, and then we're hooked to them for the rest of our lives. Like me and my wife, we got together. We've been together for about 20 years now, and love the hell out of her. She puts up with shit like this. Kind of a weirdo. And I come up with this weird different ideas every fucking day. They came out with this thing, and I don't know what university did this study, but there was a study here done a while back that there's people that were left in silence for so long. And in that silence, they pretty much did nothing. They just sat there in silence and enjoyed their peace and quiet. They found in this study that the brain activity has actually grown brain cells. So it makes it to where you can grow brain cells if you're left in silence and you get to sit by yourself. Now, me, what I do most of the day, like when I work, I'll try to work from 8 to 4 when I have the kids, and that's a Monday through Friday thing. My wife, when she's off work, I can't really get nothing done because I'm too busy hanging out with my wife. But that's okay. I mean, that's what she's has days off for, right? Snuggle up, make that sweet love, things like that. But you know, I really think that people should have the same days they work. They should all work the same days, Monday through Thursday, and then have Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. Work the same hours so you can spend time with your family after work. And if you're working the same hours, your spouse can bring you some lunch at lunchtime, spend lunch with you, be your backbone, coming and supporting you while you're out making money for cannabism as a whole, or just yourself. Because cannabism is my religion, is I'm paving the road for it, right? Now, I don't ever care. I don't care if anybody really gets on board with this cannabism or not. Now, on down the road, I see people at least coming to my church or coming to my sermon whenever I get this church built up good enough. I have right here a place where people can come and listen to my lectures or listen to me preach my religion. Once this is ready and for people to come and do that, I'll have people come here to my house and we'll preach. My sermons only start at 4:20. Now, church actually starts at like 3:30 or 4 o'clock. The reason it's 4:20 it starts is because we got to get in the right headspace to have church, if you know what I mean. And the sermon will always last from 4:30 or 4:20 to 5:20. And then after 5:20, if there's people that have questions and want to talk or hang out, and we can play video games, get around, play card games, have fun. There should be like 1 hour a week that I just preach the gospel of doing right with one another, helping each other out. Also living as a town of people that support one another, there will be people that are able to watch your kids and give you a night off every once in a while, which is something me and my wife never really had. Our kids got old enough to start watching one another. Then it became more about them getting paid for watching the youngest. Like even my oldest one, he wouldn't want to watch our youngest one while we were gone. And then on top of that, our two oldest ones would get in a fight while we were gone. What do you do then? You're off at the casino spending time with your wife, or banging it off at the hotel or something. And your two oldest kids are back here slapping the shit out of each other because the other one called the other one gay. What the hell is that all about? Why can't they? See, the cannabis uh, congression can just be live. I don't have to have anybody watching these screens. But over time, I'm sure that maybe I'll get popular enough. I'll start earning money from these lives. And that's what I think should fund cannabism. Is just getting the word of mouth, people sharing it, people trying to get people on board to listen to what we got going on. See, cannabis, we're not going to judge people from the color of their skin. Now, we will judge people if you're dirty and nasty and stink. We'll make sure you get your bath, get cleaned up, get nice threads on. Why would we judge you if you're dirty and nasty and stink? Because it's something you can change. You can go ahead and take a bath. If we try to bring somebody to our congregation that stinks and Why would everybody want to sit around that person if we can get them cleaned up and fixed up to where they can go start a new job or start a new life? There's just so many people that are out there living on the streets because there's nobody there to support them. There's nobody there to be their support at all. The single moms, whenever they get out there, there's nobody there to help watch them kids when they got to go to work or anything like that. Cannabism believes that education, child support, and healthcare should all be the three frees. Our country should furnish the child care, healthcare, and education. Now, why do I say that? Because if you had childcare and you were a single mom, you could go to work. If you had childcare and you were a single dad, you could go to work. Why do I believe in that? Because, you know, just because somebody has a kid and a baby doesn't mean their life ends, which kind of is the way it's set up right now. A woman has a baby and that baby makes it to where she can't go to work and earn a living. There's actually women on food on benefits now that is their sole support is just benefits because they have so many kids, you know. Which then again on cannabism, if people going to be sitting there and not working or supporting the community, they really should be fixed where they can't have no more kids. Hey, cannabism's all about having sex, and free love. After all, it don't really recommend getting married until you're old enough to have tried a few. Uh, but to reproduce, if you're not going to be a contributing member of the society, that shouldn't. Cannabism don't really believe in that. If you're just going to lay around and play video games all day long, you shouldn't be able to have kids. You shouldn't have sex with somebody or anything like that because you're not even really supporting yourself when it comes down to it. You're just living the life, playing games, getting through it, which is kind of what we're all doing nowadays. Just getting through it. It's kind of hard for me to sit here and advise people what they should do with their lives. I'm not rich. I'm not famous. Yeah, may never be rich or famous. But cannabis is just a religion that herb is sacred. Cannabism is what it's going to be the religion that holds herb cannabis as a sacred herb. And you don't have to be a partaker to be part of the religion. However, you can't judge people that do partake for being in the religion because, of course, the whole religion is found on cannabis. I get stoned and I'm stoned all day long. I'm stoned right now. I shouldn't say that because I'll probably take down the video or put a ban on me or something. See, when I first started the cannabism idea, I was wanting to, where you guys I could sit here and I could see people talking to me and I'd get really baked out and talk to them as I'm doing this. But as we can see, that's not a very good move on it. I can't even get my YouTube